Welcome back to Peek into COS. Today I'm joined by Sarah Woods, who she is actually the Vice President of Collections at the Pomar Foundation. Now, that doesn't mean you go out and collect bills.
Definitely not.
You are not the bill collector.
No.
Okay, but you oversee lots of operations at Pomar, which is great. So welcome to the podcast, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is great, and I have enjoyed getting to read about you, and I think you serve on one of the best boards in Colorado Springs with the Olympic and Paralympic Museum Board. That board is just a very impressive board I imagine you probably enjoy serving on that.
Yeah, I joined the board this year, so I'm a relatively new board member, but I've been involved with the Olympic and Paralympic movement for a while. It's actually what brought me to Colorado Springs 8 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I know we're going to spend our time today talking mostly about the Pomar Foundation. And so let's talk a little bit about your background and how you got to Colorado Springs and how you ended up at Pomar.
Yeah, so I completed my graduate studies at Indiana University in Bloomington. Mm-hmm. I'm a Hoosier, so really proud of that.
It's a good year to be a Hoosier.
It is a great year to be a Hoosier, absolutely. But I got my master's in library science. I specialized in archives and records management. And I was really interested in finding opportunities that were sort of outside the academic sphere.
Right.
So I had this realization at some point in my studies that any organization that's been around for a long time probably has some historic collections or archives or business records, and probably has a use for an archivist.
Yeah.
And so I started looking for really unique organizations to have internships with. I had this amazing internship with NASA. I was working at NASA Langley Research Center in Virginia.
Yeah.
And then I also had an internship with the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, working in the archives.
Right.
And that is what brought me to Colorado Springs 8 years ago.
Wow.
And it was 2 weeks into my internship in the archivist that I was working for, Terry Hedgepeth. She told me that Pomar Foundation was hiring and that if I was interested in staying in Colorado Springs, I should look into this. And I've been
Leave
here.
it to Terry.
Yes, I know,
Yeah.
Terry. She was so great, made such a great connection. And so I looked into the foundation and I read the job description. They were hiring for the curator for Penrose Heritage Museum.
Okay.
And I read the job description and I said, I can do this job.
Yeah.
And it was just an interesting experience because I really didn't know anything about Pomar or Colorado Springs or even Penrose history. So I really felt like I was in the right place at the right time.
I love that. And it just, people, I think hearing your story will hopefully inspire other people to take a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a Midwestern girl who got a chance to come out west, and look at you. 8 years later, it's all panned out really, really well. So congratulations for taking that leap. Well, let's help listeners know. I'm going to have you give a little insight to the Pomar Foundation, because to those who live in Colorado Springs, everybody knows about it, but for those who are listening and maybe planning to come, let's talk about Spencer and Julie Penrose.
Yeah, so Pomar Foundation, it's a general purpose private grant making foundation. So what that means is we distribute grant dollars to nonprofits all across the state of Colorado, and it can be in any sort of sector from arts and culture, education, civic and community initiatives, healthcare, human services, things like that. So that's really the primary purpose of the foundation, is grant making.
Yep.
But the other thing that the foundation's really invested in is community engagement, convening, and also leadership development. So we recognize that grant dollars are great, they're impactful, but another way that we can have impact across the state is by investing in this generation of nonprofit leaders, but also future generations of nonprofit leaders. And so we have several programs that we operate to that extent. And then I think the thing that probably makes us unique for a philanthropic organization is that we own and operate 3 historic properties.
Yes.
And those are connected to the legacy of the founders of El Pomar, Spencer and Julie Penrose.
That's great. And we're going to get into those. Let's talk about the Penroses a little bit.
Yeah, the Penroses, they're so fascinating. I've been really fortunate in my career, like when I was a student at IU, I worked at Wiley House, which is a historic house museum. It's named for one of Indiana University, actually the very first president of Indiana University.
Okay.
And the thing that's really exciting about working at like a historic house museum or something that has a sort of a singular focus historically on like a couple or an individual is really getting to dive deep into their history.
Right.
And I really like that aspect rather than it being like broad history.
Sure.
So the Penroses are utterly fascinating individuals, but the gist of it is that they were significant entrepreneurs and philanthropists who are responsible for creating and investing in a lot of our iconic attractions and institutions in Colorado Springs and the Pikes Peak region.
Sure.
So some of the significant things that they have contributed to our community, whether people have lived here forever or are visiting, you probably know something about the Penroses, whether you've heard a crazy story about Spencer Penrose or you see the Penrose name. But some of their iconic contributions would be the Broadmoor Hotel, which they created in 1918. Actually, 2 years prior to that, they constructed the Pikes Peak Highway, which is that highway we all drive to get to the summit of Pikes Peak.
Right. Or race.
Or race, right? Yeah, which is actually coming up soon.
Right.
The Pikes Peak International Hill Climb, which Spencer created. And, you know, those 2 things were really meant to draw worldwide attention to this region because the Penroses recognized that this place was really special and really unique. You know, he was from Philadelphia, she was from Detroit. They traveled the world together regularly, but they chose to stay here and invest in this community because they recognized how special it was.
Yep.
And so all of these attractions, I mean, this is what we all enjoy as locals, and it's also what tourists enjoy as well. They also created Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, which is celebrating its centennial this year, which is amazing.
Right.
The Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center, Pikes Peak Robust Rodeo.
Yeah.
Penrose Hospital is not one that they created, but it's one that they supported significantly in their lifetimes. Central City Opera. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yes.
But aside from creating those sort of iconic attractions, they also recognized how important it was to give back to the community and to invest in services that support the people. And that's really what their vision was with El Pomar Foundation, which they created in 1937.
1937. And Julie Penrose really, I mean, when Spencer died, it was Julie who kind of got the foundation. It was her vision of what do we do?
Yes.
And so I think about it as, you know, my role as CEO of Visit Colorado Springs. I do think back and wonder, where would we be without the Penroses?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things that we can point to that we are just blessed to have in this community, and you know, I just think we're just fortunate. And the Broadmoor Hotel, which is now 108 years old. There are many people who know our destination because they've been to the Broadmoor. They've been to a conference at the Broadmoor. Their parents got married at the Broadmoor. I mean, the traditions go on, and I just think that Spencer and Julie would look down and with pride to just see how well things have been maintained, and the foundation just continues to make Colorado a better place to live. So this year is America's 250 and Colorado's 150 celebration. And when I think about some of the things that are going to be special this summer, I just believe that that the zoo, as being 100, is one that it's something that, in addition to people talking about the Broadmoor, it's very common for people to say, "Oh, I've been to the zoo."
Oh, yes.
The highest altitude zoo, and at the top of the zoo is the shrine, the Will Rogers Shrine.
Yeah.
Now that's one of the 3 landmarks that you have responsibility for overseeing.
Yes.
So let's talk about the Will Rogers Shrine a little bit.
Yeah, I love the Will Rogers Shrine of the Sun. It's such a unique property. So as you mentioned, it is on the side of Cheyenne Mountain, up above Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. And I think the whole history of the Penroses and their relationship with Cheyenne Mountain is really fascinating.
Yep.
So in 1925, Spencer had the highway constructed.
Yeah.
And part of this was because, I mean, he had a lot of businesses that sort of revolved around auto tourism. He recognized that a lot of people were like motoring, right?
Yep,
So they
right.
would get in their car and they'd drive cross country or drive cross state to see scenic attractions. So he was trying to capitalize on that. And so he built the highway to the summit of Cheyenne Mountain. At the top, he built a lodge so that motorists would have a place to like get a bite to eat.
Mm-hmm.
There was a little gift shop up there. You know, the views certainly are incredible. And then he built Cheyenne Mountain Zoo.
It's because those animals that were walking around the Broadmoor,
Yes.
they needed a little more confinement.
Yes, I mean it's such a crazy story. I mean he had a ranch south of town called Turkey Creek Ranch, and he had animals there, and he'd actually moved some of those animals in pens sort of near the highway that he built on Cheyenne Mountain, so that
Okay.
motorists would have the opportunity to see like native species for the Rocky Mountains. But he also had exotic animals in cages lining the Broadmoor's golf course. And in 1926, the board of directors said, "Hey, Spencer, we've got this really great opportunity to bring a prestigious golf tournament to the Broadmoor. It's probably not a good idea to have monkeys and tigers and things,
elephants.
right?"
Right.
And so that was sort of the impetus for getting the rest of the animals up on Cheyenne Mountain and
Right.
creating the zoo. But the shrine came much later. The shrine
Right.
was built in 1937, the same year that the foundation was created. And I think what's important to understand about the relationship between the foundation and the shrine in terms of Spencer's vision was that he knew he was dying. He had throat cancer. He'd been battling it for several years, but he was starting to think about the end of his life and his legacy and how to prepare for that. And so the foundation was certainly part of that.
Yep.
How do they continue to support their organizations? How do they continue their philanthropy when they're gone? But the Shrine of the Sun, it's a cemetery.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's this feudal style monument on Cheyenne Mountain that was intended to be their final resting place, and that's exactly what it is. But the reason it's called Will Rogers Shrine of the Sun, because during construction in 1935, Will Rogers tragically died in a plane crash. And for folks who don't know, Will Rogers was probably the most prolific, famous American in his day.
At that time, yeah.
You know, I mean, he was a journalist, he was a performer, he was an aviator. I mean, he truly was an incredible person, and he had this way of talking about really important political and social issues in a way that was not divisive. It brought everybody together across political lines. I mean, he's an incredible figure. But so when he died, the whole country just went into mourning, and people started renaming schools and churches and hospitals and roads
after Will
Will
Rogers.
Rogers. And
Right.
the Penroses did the same thing with their shrine. We also know that Spencer was a master promoter, so there's probably an aspect of, if this destination is named for this famous American,
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people will want to come to Colorado Springs and see this attraction.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's
And
exactly what happened.
and it's at 8,000 feet elevation. The views are epic.
Yeah.
And I guess, I don't know, unless you hike it, the only way to really get there driving is through the zoo.
That is the only way
Right,
to reach
the
the
only
shrine.
way to reach the
Yes.
shrine.
So
Okay.
that's an important thing for folks to know.
Right.
Is that El Pomar Foundation does not charge admission to visit Will Rogers Shrine, but you do have to pay zoo admission in order to drive your vehicle up to the property.
Yeah.
So that is important to
But
know.
it's worth it.
Worth it.
The combination, don't miss the zoo.
Yeah. And don't miss the shrine.
And don't miss the shrine.
You got to do both of them.
Okay. The Penrose Heritage Museum, you touched on. Let's talk a little bit about the significance of that.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for the museum just because that's the
where you
first
started,
role that
right.
I had within the foundation,
Right.
and it's sort of what
I
kept
think that's
me
where
here.
we first met, was after you had started working
Yes.
there.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Right.
So the museum also has an interesting history. So it was actually created in 1941. So it's also been around for quite a long time.
Right.
And Julie Penrose is the one that created the museum. It was originally known as the Pomar Carriage Museum.
Right.
And so the whole purpose was to exhibit the Penroses' collection of carriages, and also some carriages that they had acquired from close friends of theirs. Spencer was born in 1865, the year the Civil War ended. Julie Penrose was born 5 years later in 1870. So when we think about what the world looked like when they were growing up and coming of age, I mean, carriages, wagons, coaches, those things were more common on streets. It wasn't really until the 1910s that automobiles were really, around on American streets.
Right.
And so even though they both really loved automobiles, clearly, and invested in them and had their own and loved to drive, they wanted to sort of keep that tradition of coaching alive. And so Julie had this museum built. And then over time, the foundation has expanded the museum to tell the story of the Penroses themselves.
Right. And the hill climb.
And the hill climb,
Right.
right? And we expanded the museum, doubled its footprint essentially, to bring in the race car and memorabilia collection of the Pikes Peak hill climb started by Spencer Penrose, to capture that story as well. And so that's another big draw to the museum. Guests who are, coming in to learn more about the hill climb, or people who are coming to Colorado Springs to experience the race,
Sure.
like they'll be doing in just a handful of weeks. The museum is a great place to learn about the Penroses, the hill climb, Pikes Peak region.
And it's free admission.
Yes.
It is on the grounds of the Broadmoor Hotel. It is to the left of the parking garage.
Yes.
And you do not have to be a Broadmoor guest
Correct.
to come in and see it. And I find myself telling people a lot about it because
Thank you.
it is a hidden secret. It's when it's on the grounds of the Broadmoor, it's kind of easy to get overlooked with all the other amazing things there are to do. So that one is special, and the history is amazing. So then right behind the Broadmoor Hotel over on Mesa is the home of Spencer and Julie Penrose. And let's talk about that as your third area of responsibility.
Yeah, so I'm jealous of all of my colleagues who get to office at Penrose House. It's just such a wonderful property. So as you mentioned, it is the historic home of Spencer and Julie Penrose. That home was first built in 1910. They were not the original owners.
Right.
They did not build the house, but they did extensively renovate it, and they added the second and third floors during their time living there. But the way that we operate the house today is as a conference center. So a nonprofit is able to utilize spaces in the house free of charge for meetings, board retreats, strategic planning. We also do some events there as well. And our team works really hard to maintain the property. The grounds are always immaculate. I mean, even just being able to walk in the gardens is a really special experience. And the house has its own interesting history because after Spencer died, Julie was living in this massive house all by herself. And eventually she decided this is just too much square footage for me. And she renovated a penthouse suite at the Broadmoor, and that's where she lived her final days. But she really wanted to find like a good use for the home, something, charitable in nature.
Right.
And she had a special relationship with the Catholic Church. I mean, her relationship to Catholicism was really important in her life. And it was actually the Archbishop in Denver who suggested that she donate the home to the Sisters of Charity, so that they could operate it as a retreat center for women, which actually at the time was was way ahead of its time, and he was, trying to push that movement forward. And so I think operating the house as a place to convene groups, hold events for the nonprofit community is right in line with what Julie Penrose was hoping that the home would be used for when she left it.
And you can take a tour. Isn't there a guided tour? And I don't know how often that is scheduled. I've done it, and that's how I found out about the organ and all those other. How often can people take tours?
So we do tours one Saturday per month.
Saturday per month.
The house really is meant to be a conference center more than a public attraction.
Yeah.
But anybody that's interested in touring that property, I just recommend that they look on the website, reach out to the house directly and talk to staff to get the most current information about when those tours would be offered.
What is that web address?
lpomar.org.
lpomar.org. So all of these attractions that we're talking about, you can learn more about their hours of operation and all those things at lpomar.org.
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, I certainly have spent a fair amount of time in that conference center. Sometimes, some months, it seems like I'm over there every other day, but it does speak to continuously giving back to the community and to have, when I get invited to go to an event at the Penrose house, you walk through that front door and you step back in time. You step into history, and as you say, the grounds are remarkable. There's deer everywhere all the time. And I was over there recently for an event, and I realized that they're building in the back of the Penrose house another conference facility. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay.
So I think some pillars that are really important for the foundation are community engagement and convening, which is what we do out of Penrose House. But the construction that you saw going on, it's actually a renovation that we're doing of a building that already exists there. It's a 6,000 square foot space that we are remodeling into an event and conference space.
Oh, okay.
So it essentially allows us to take the work that we're doing at Penrose House and expand it into a larger footprint so we can host more groups and we can host larger groups.
Wow.
But the other function of the building, there will also be some flexible shared workspace. And our thought is that we would be able to offer nonprofits in the state of Colorado office space and office furniture free of charge on a short-term basis, so that'd be like 1 to 3 years, for various purposes. So we're certainly in the phase right now of wanting to speak with Colorado nonprofit organizations to find out what needs they might have. But it's an opportunity, just as one example, say a nonprofit is really hoping to be able to invest in their own permanent office space.
Yep.
And maybe they could benefit from being office somewhere free of charge for a year or two, so that they can be in that self-sustainable position in the future. So that could just be one example. Perhaps there are a couple of nonprofits on a short-term basis that want to be closer together, to work together on a singular issue. You know, that might be another opportunity in this new event space.
Is there a estimated opening date?
Yeah, I certainly won't promise an opening date, knowing how construction projects go.
Right.
But we are anticipating that the building will be open and operational within the first quarter of 2027.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just want to share too, there's another piece of this building that's particularly interesting to me given my background and my role within the foundation. And there's an aspect of preservation that's also happening because as I mentioned, Julie Penrose had gifted her home to the Sisters of Charity to operate as a retreat center, which they did for decades. I mean, from like 1945 to 1992 when the foundation acquired the house. But as you might imagine, a religious order that lives by a vow of poverty, Penrose House is a really enormous property and expensive property to take care of.
Right.
And so they had to get really creative about how they would finance that. And so sometimes they would sell parcels of land for different projects.
Okay.
And The parcel that this building sits on is one that they had given up.
Oh.
And it was so that the Penrose hospital system could build this facility called Namaste in the 1980s.
Okay.
It's an Alzheimer's care facility.
Wow, all right.
But because of our relationship, we had the first right of refusal if they were to ever cease operations.
Okay.
And so when they closed that facility, we were able to reacquire it. So the preservation piece is that we're restoring that original property boundary that was part of the Penroses' land. And I've been really fortunate to get, some square footage in it for my own preservation efforts, managing the collections.
That's great.
So that's
Special.
another thing I'm really excited about with the building.
I can just imagine. Now, we are recording this in May of 2026, and so though this will hopefully live on for quite some time, you've got an event coming up in early June. That's Family Exploration Day, correct?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I would love to. So when we were actually celebrating the museum's 80th anniversary back in 2021, we did an open house to unveil some new exhibits that we get installed in the museum. But we decided we wanted to continue this event annually as a free community event. Because as you mentioned, the museum is free. We don't charge admission. We also validate parking for the Broadmoor Garage. There's a bus stop across the street. I mean, it's totally free to come, but it's just an opportunity to give back to the community and give families a way to engage with the local history through the Penrose legacy.
Okay.
So this year, because it is Cheyenne Mountain Zoo Centennial, Family Exploration Day has a Cheyenne Mountain Zoo theme to it.
Okay.
So families, this event always takes place the first Saturday of June. So this year it's June 6th. The event is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And visitors are welcome to come to the museum. We've got the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo Zoomobile will be there. So there will be zoo animal encounters for folks, which we're really excited about. But we just have different activities all throughout the museum that are experiential. Some of them are craft-based. And it's for all ages. And then we also have some certain activities that enter people into a raffle. And so families have the chance to earn tickets or admission or membership to all of those Penrose Legacy organizations that we talked about earlier.
Nice.
So you might be able to win tickets to the Hill Climb. You might win a year membership to the Fine Arts Center. You might win admission to the zoo or tickets to the rodeo. So there's just great opportunity for folks if they visit.
I love that. That's great. And that is an annual first Saturday in June.
Yes.
Okay, so no matter what year you're listening to
Yes.
this, okay, that you can mark your calendar. All right, good. Well, before we begin to wrap, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's podcast, which is the United We Rock Festival, taking place at Rockledge Ranch on August the 1st of 2026. And the event promises an unforgettable afternoon of live music, local flavors, and hands-on Western fun. As the U.S. celebrates its 250th birthday and Colorado hits 150 years, this milestone party is one you won't want to miss. So mark your calendars and get ready to enjoy everything from jazz and Americana to bluegrass and dance music. So look up the United We Rock Festival and get your tickets now. Okay. Sarah, here's what we like to do at the end of our podcast. We've got a couple questions I want to ask you, and they're not meant to stump you, but we want listeners to just get a little insight as to how you, say for the first question, how would you describe Colorado Springs in 3 words?
In 3 words. I would say familial.
Familial?
Like, it just is a community that feels very interconnected and really supportive.
Okay.
Which I really, really love. The other would be majestic.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful here.
Yeah.
Oh, the scenery is just, I mean, it blows me away. I have these incredible views looking out at the mountains every day. I mean, it just...
You're not in Indiana anymore.
I'm not in Indiana anymore, right? It's not flat.
Right.
It's so beautiful.
Right, okay.
And then I think I would say historic as well, because I mean, certainly just the history, it's not something that's just relegated to the past here. It is something that you can experience, whether you're aware of it or not, everywhere that you go. And I think it's something that residents take a lot of pride and interest in as well.
I would agree. Those are great words. What would you say is your favorite hidden gem? In the, you can go as wide as the Pikes Peak region. Like, where do you like to go to?
Hidden gem.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that this is maybe a cop-out of an answer.
Okay.
But when you say hidden gem, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Penrose Heritage Museum.
I know, but you're there during the day.
Because everybody says that it's a hidden gem, and we don't want to be hidden.
I know. But for you, Sarah Woods, what's your gem?
I don't know that it's hidden, but I would say that a gem for me is Loyal Coffee. I love going in there and working and getting their spiced chai is like probably my favorite in town.
Okay, so that's on South Nevada. For those of you listening and wondering if I wanted to meet Sarah Woods, where would I maybe find her? You might find her at Loyal Coffee over in South Nevada. Okay, cool. Most people who live here have a bucket list of things that they maintain, and they'll tend to check them off one at a time and say, oh, I've done this, I've been to the top of Pikes Peak, or whatever it is. What's on your bucket list after 8 years that you haven't done yet?
I feel so fortunate that I feel like I've been able to check a lot of things off of the list.
When you work at Pomar, I can absolutely see that.
Well, and you know, just wanting to experience so many things that the Penroses had touched, right?
Yep.
So like the COG being one of them.
Sure.
The hill climb being another. My first year here, we spectated from Devil's Playground. I mean, that's definitely a bucket list experience.
Yes.
The bucket list experience I haven't checked off yet is the incline.
You have not
I have not done the incline in 8 years. I mean, I love hiking. I love the trails. We have so many fantastic trails in the area. I'm intimidated by it. I just haven't done. I haven't done it yet.
So you're now on the board of the Olympic and Paralympic Museum, and one of your board members is Apollo Ono.
Yes.
And Apollo Ono, I think, though, for people who lived here while he was living at the training center in training, knew that if they ever wanted to see him, they could go find him on the incline. I mean, he was back here a few years ago, and it was like one of the first things he wanted to go do. And so I'm not suggesting that you say to him the next time you're going to get together, hey, I've gone on the air and admitted that I've not done the incline. But I hope that you'll get to do that.
I will someday.
Okay.
I just
we
haven't done it yet.
Well, that's fair. All right, so let's put a bow on this for listeners. Let them know where they can follow and find out all the things there are that we talked about today.
Yeah, I would just encourage everybody to visit elpomar.org, ELPOMAR.
Yep.
But certainly, I mean, you can Google Will Rogers Shrine of the Sun or Penrose Heritage Museum or Penrose House. Our website has all the information visitors need to know about visiting those properties. But our website also does a really great job of sharing Penrose history. So if you're looking for good resources on who the Penroses were, you want to watch some of the videos that we've created different videos documenting their history. We've got a brand new video that accompanies our new exhibit at Penrose Heritage Museum, giving that early history of Cheyenne Mountain Zoo. So our website, it's a wealth of resources.
You know, thank you, Sarah. And I just want to say that I love that you have moved here and really kind of call this home now. It's wonderful that people, young people, will be attracted to this area. And it's one thing to come for an internship, and it's another thing to get a job, but then you now have roots here. And it doesn't sound like you're anxious to go anywhere. So I really, we talk lots of times about it starts with a visit. First time somebody comes to Colorado Springs and they look at the majestic just scenery that we have here, and they wonder, well, are there jobs here? I mean,
Yeah.
what could, what could I do? And you are an example of somebody who has come and just made an investment in this community. And I just want to say thank you for not only being on the podcast today, but for all you're doing to make this a special place for those of us that live here, but those that come to visit as well. So thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Great.
And I have to tell you, every time I'm out of the state and I'm anywhere and I'm talking to people about where I live, I can't tell you how many times people are like, oh, I've been there. And then they tell me about an experience that they've had.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people know about Colorado Springs and it stays with them, even if they aren't able to stay and make a life in the community.
Well, Sarah, you're a great brand ambassador for us. So thanks for being on the program.
Thank you so much.
Okay.